Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the grid walk. And of course, the trucks are lining up. This is number 3, Sascha Lenz, getting ready behind. And this is Norbert Kirsch. They are already in his position with the number 1. 6 live events, 2 qualifiers and 4 races. This is race number 3, who will just be underway very, very soon. And we are so happy to be here at the Slovakia ring. And yes, we do feel some small drips from up the sky, and we are hoping for good weather conditions. But maybe you've joined us yesterday and you've noticed that there was a rough mix in between sun and rain. Well, we'll have a look, and we don't know. So top 3 after Super Pole then is Norbert Kirsch, leader of the pack. Then it's Sascha Lenz, and then it's Antonio Albacete, which is kind of miraculous since the team put great effort in it. He needed to change his turbo after the warm-up, and the team, they fired up the turbo also because they were very quick as our commentators, Chas Dracourt, Joachim the Wise Man Eberts, and of course it is Fonsi Sebedian, our commentators. First to hear them right now.
Yes, thank you very much, Christina. Hello, everybody. Chas Dracourt here, commentating remotely this weekend from the UK, but looking forward to another fantastic day of racing. We had a very interesting Super Pole session earlier on, which actually saw Jochen Hahn down in 6th position on the grid. It's certainly going to be interesting to see what he can do from there, but it's business as usual at the front with Norbert Kirsch on pole position, his 4th pole position from 4 qualifying sessions this season. But as Christina rightly mentioned there, Antonio Albacete and the team had a lot of work to do ahead of them after warm-up, where he blew a turbocharger and ended up in the gravel, and they had to wait for it to be recovered before they could even get it back. The truck was just not in a good condition to drive back manually. Here is the circuit we're racing at this weekend, the Slovakia ring. Not a circuit that many people really know about, to be honest with you. It's a massive, massive track, though, nearly 6 kilometres in length, rivalling Spa-Francorchamps in terms of circuit length. And the warm-up laps and cool-down laps here at the circuit are nearly 5 minutes long, sometimes 4 minutes in qualifying, but the lap times themselves are nearly 3 minutes in race trim. The race lap record is a 2:42.803 set in 2017 by Norbert Kirsch, and a lot of the corners here really do provide a big challenge for racing trucks. TCR cars, touring cars, GT cars, those sorts of things will always struggle around here as well, but with the trucks it's an amplified curse, the weight of these vehicles. They really are tough to keep at a sort of maintained speed mid-corner, and the drivers have a massive challenge ahead of them to make sure that they keep it nice and tidy. Christina is down there with Antonio Albacete, though, who I believe we're just about to have a chat with now.
Yes, we do. And of course, he said to me earlier, Antonio said, you wanted to give something back to the team. You hoped for a much further position up to front, but P3, due to turbo failure and the changing of everything, is it a success for you also?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, we would like to be a little bit in front, but okay, I mean, Normie is very fast, so I think will not be possible. But it couldn't be possible second place, it was close. But anyway, 3rd place is quite good, so let's hope we have a good race and we can manage to be on the podium also. It will be fantastic again.
Absolutely, starting from 2nd row, and you also changed the oil management. Is that successful?
Yeah, I think it was quite good, so I mean, we will see, I hope, yeah.
Thank you very much, Antonio Albacete. We will see, Chas.
Yeah, he's keeping his cards close to his chest there, isn't he, Antonio Albacete? He's not giving too much away. And it's always a good thing to do as a driver, because if you show an incredible amount of commitment and say that you're going to go absolutely at it, then, when you say that you're going to win a race, then people might still might maybe overdo it and give yourself some issues. But we'll have to see, won't we? We will have to see. Anyway, we've got some entertainment off the circuit going on at the moment, and we have the wonderful motocross riders and the stunt riders that have been jumping across that jump there, actually just parallel with the start-finish straight. They've been wowing the crowds. There was supposed to be an air display as well from a stunt aircraft, I believe an extra 300 it is, but we had it last year very low over the start-finish straight, and it was a lot of entertainment. One character that is a lot of entertainment in our paddock is Sascha Lenz, and he had an interview earlier on with Christina between the sessions.
Sascha Lenz actually on P number 2 ahead of race number 3 this weekend. What are you aiming for?
Du, das ist genauso wie beim HSV. Da war auch immer Berg hoch, Berg runter. So ging es heute auch oder auch gestern. Im Rennen hat man eine sehr gute Pace gehabt. Nur ich habe es halt in der Qualifying nicht umsetzen können, also in der Superpole. Und von daher sind wir echt zufrieden, dass wir heute auf P2 stehen, weil wir jetzt auch in der Superpole eine gute Leistung bringen konnten.
So you said yesterday he was not achieving his pace, but now it was better during this qualifying in Superpole. And of course he was referring to my football team, the HSV, which is currently on third position. And I remember Sascha Lenz last year on third position. Oh, das war richtig knapp letztes Jahr.
Du, ich kann mich nicht mehr gut dran erinnern. Auf jeden Fall, ich hatte letztes Jahr hier viele harte Kämpfe gehabt. Ich komme mit meinem Reifenmanagement nicht so klar hier. Ich weiß auch nicht, aber nichtsdestotrotz, wir werden gleich alles versuchen, alles geben, dass wir die ersten 2-3 Runden vielleicht am Nobby hängen bleiben können und dann sehen wir, wie das Rennen ausgeht.
Alles klar. So you said, yeah, I don't remember that, but we do remember the third place overall. But he said, yes, of course, last year was difficult too, but we're trying to get a better time management. And as we heard from the other teams too, this is very difficult in these conditions. And you might not know if there is coming rain or not. So, but he's trying to get his best and maybe get closer to Norby and maybe overtake. We will have a look then. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Like I say, always an absolute character, Sascha Lenz. He really is a funny bloke. We love having him on the grid, and he's always good fun to speak to. His English has got a lot better over the last couple of years as well, but obviously he's a very entertaining bloke to have around, and as you see, so's this guy as well on this fantastic motorbike. He's been doing a lot of these awesome jumps over the course of the weekend. Braver than I is all I'm going to say, and clearly a born entertainer as well. He certainly knows what he's doing. But the crowd have a lot to look at here at the Slovakia ring, and so do the drivers as well. This circuit, a real long one. And like I say, the lap times here very long as well. There's a lot of concentration needed by the drivers over the course of a race here. You can't sort of settle into a rhythm with a short, quick-fire lap and just keep repeating yourself. You have to be right on it. Christina is right on it, though, with another interview for us.
Yes, it's Ralf Arnold. He's called Charlie, so I had to look up his whole name because he's famous for being Charlie, of course. Wie geht's jetzt voran mit euch? Ihr habt ja echt eine super Zeit hingelegt, knapp vor Jamie Anderson.
Ja, wir haben heute oder gestern Abend noch etwas umgebaut und wir hoffen, dass es funktioniert, dass alles so rauskommt, wie wir uns das vorstellen.
So you said, yeah, we changed a little bit yesterday evening, and they were very successful. So it's a tenth of a second ahead of Jamie Anderson. Das ist ja nur eine Zehntelsekunde. Wie viel ist die heute wert, weil die in einer anderen Reihe steht?
Ich weiß es nicht. Wir lassen uns überraschen. Das kommt darauf an, wie der Start verläuft und dann, wie der weitere Verlauf im Rennen ist. Kann ich nicht sagen. Weiß ich nicht.
So he's curious, as we are, how it's going to be, because he's starting right now. They are starting from the second row and hoping to compete very well on this track.
Yeah, there's so much to put into even just getting a fast lap around this circuit. There's so many elements to getting it right, and of course, potentially getting it wrong as well. You can see there the humongous run down to turn one on this very wide start-finish straight, which I believe is an ex-runway, basically. There's a military base, or museum at least, off the final corner, which you'll see over the course of the race. There's a humongous missile that's obviously de-armed and propped up. There's Jane Bigler, stood next to Sascha Lenz's machine. Jane is one of the absolute stars of the paddock. Love her to bits. And Sascha will be loving the fact that he's on the front row of the grid. Steffi Halm there in fourth position as well, having a really good qualifying session. She's ahead of the rest of the Ivecos on the grid. She is the highest placed Iveco out of all of them. Following on is Jochen Hahn, of course, Andrei Kursim in there as well. And then we have the other Iveco of Louis Requenco a little bit further down the pack. It's going to be a busy weekend for Steffi if she continues these starts near the very front of the grid. She's going to go chasing Sascha Lenz down towards turn one, and it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun to see how she gets on. Hopefully not as elbows out as it was yesterday, where she got shoved down a bunch of positions. But Norbert Kish and Sascha Lenz will be leading us from the start.
The 10 minutes board is up, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. The grid walk has just ended. The fans took their photos of all the trucks and they are lining up for race number 3, sure, and will be soon underway. I'm standing in the sun, and maybe you've been with us yesterday. There have been some black clouds and it was raining shortly afterwards. But right now we keep our fingers crossed to keep such great conditions here at the OMV Max Motion Truck Race of Slovakia. We do have a great community here. We do have a great feel. So let's have a look at the results after Super Pole. And starting with Jochen Hahn. He had a difficult session, setting a time for 6th, but was not able to improve that during Super Pole. And Jamie Anderson is very happy with his 5th position. Told us earlier that the team is improving. And a glimpse faster, Steffi Hamm with a great performance and P number 4. Alongside Antonio Albacete on P3 after fast turbo change after the warm-up. Front row, Sascha Lenz and Norbert Kisch, who missed his lap record of the track by only 7/10 of a second. And let's do not forget the Promoters Cup. José Eduardo Rodrigues once again managed to claim Promoters Cup pole position for race 3, leading the competition, starting as a chrome driver. And back to the Titans and the chrome drivers here on the field, and you can hear somebody jumping on a motocross, so this is why you see and hear applause from the stands, and everybody is so happy that race number 3 will take a start under the best circumstances. And we do have a quick handover to our commentators. We do offer you 3 live streams in English, in German and in Spanish.
Thank you very much, Christina. Yes, hello everybody. Chaz Draycott here, commentating from the UK remotely this weekend, but thankfully I'll be at a couple more of the races before the season is complete. My colleagues Joachim Eberts and Fonzie Cebrian also commentating in German and in Spanish, respectively. We've got a fantastically diverse grid as well. Drivers from all over the globe taking part in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, and we will not have too long now before the racing gets underway. And we have interviews and chats aplenty to see what goes on. And there is the unmistakable hair of Jay Bigler live on stream. Steve Miller there as well, stood next to her on the grid. Like I've said, they're going to be so happy that Sascha Lenz is on the front row, which is where we found Jochen Hahn yesterday alongside Norbert Kisch. And I believe in just a moment we're going to hear from Jochen Hahn, because he's down in 6th position on the grid, which is not usually where we'd see him. Yeah, that guy's absolutely bonkers, isn't he? Braver than me, like I say. But still, there's going to be a lot of bravery needed from Jochen Hahn to fight his way through the pack from 6th on the grid. The 3rd row, he's going to start alongside Jamie Anderson. And I know that Jamie will want to defend from Jochen into the first couple of corners especially. We'll go down to Christina now, though, where we will hear from Jochen Hahn.
Yes, and I want to ask him, you could not improve your time after qualifying during Super Pole, causing what difficulties?
Yeah. I think it's the weekend of mistakes, and the only good thing today is pounds. It's coming in the race and not in the time practice. No, it's not stupid, but it's difficult. So it's a small changing, and we think, wow, now we make the pole position. I'm nearly before to make bets about it, and in the end, first corner, shit. So I am not unhappy. So now we make a race.
That's a gesture we would like to see from Jochen Hahn, very competitive. How is the team cheering you up in such situations?
What do you mean?
Your team around you. You do not, maybe not to be cheered up, but like you're
No, you know, we must win together and we must lose together. And it's not really a losing. So we are in the row 3. The lap time was really wrong in comparison to yesterday. And now it's coming much more faster lap times than before. And, you know, we have no time to be angry about mistakes. You know, it's the life. So in the end, I'm motivated to do. Go.
Let's go. Thank you very much. And yeah, forget about mistakes very quickly. Yeah, I can do that too.
Yeah, Jochen Hahn certainly looking forward to trying to charge forward in these opening moments of the races. And of course, while the field is closer together in the early stages of the race. That's when you want to start picking off positions, because if you get the field spreading out, we know that Norbert Kish is going to charge forward and try and disappear over the horizon once again. If Jochen can gain some places before Norby opens that gap, maybe he can go charging after him. Same with Antonio Albacetti, Steffi Halm and Sasha Lenz as well in front of him. It's going to be interesting to see what progress he makes and how hard he pushes, because we know how wise Jochen is as a racer. He could sit there and wait. He could just pick out his opportunity. You never know. He might make his own opportunities. You make your own luck, as people say. Here is the Ford F-Max on its inspection lap. We're very proud to be partnered with Ford Trucks for this season, and they provide us with the F-Maxes on this wonderful, wonderful tour of Europe that we go on each year. This current model of Ford F-Max was designed and tested by 500 Ford engineers over a 5-year period. I hope you like the number 5, by the way, because it involved 15,500 hours of lab testing and 5 million kilometres of road testing as well. It has a 12-speed ZF automated transmission, different drive modes such as Eco and Power Mode to help optimise fuel consumption based on the job at hand. We have this gorgeous orange example this year with the black strikes all over it as well, and we have a lighter blue version with white strikes all over it. The two of them look fantastic together in the paddock, and it's wonderful to have them on board. We go back down to Norbert Kish, where he's on board his truck, I believe, for a chat with Christina.
Absolutely, and he just missed his fastest lap just by an ounce of a glimpse in the moment. And so you're very, very fast this weekend. How confident are you?
Well, you know, it's looking good so far. Yesterday in the rain for sure, it was very nice for us. Today it's dry conditions now, which was a little bit difficult yesterday, but not today. In the qualifying we were again very fast. I'm not sure what kind of a mistake the others did do, but they did better lap times before, so okay. But it's looking good so far, and the start is always tight, so I just need to have a good start, stay in front of Sasha, and then I think the next thing is tire management, to see how far we can take the tires.
But you did not make a rain dance because it's starting to rain?
Yeah, you know, it's quite interesting that also yesterday it was just raining the whole day, just raining on our races, and now again we are here on the grid and starts to come again. It's really funny.
Thank you very much, because he's the master of rainy conditions, so I asked him whether he took a dance right before, but we are very well prepped right now.
And the Ford F-Max is certainly prepared as well, making its way around its inspection lap while the engines all start on the grid. And in just a moment's time, we will get underway. This is down into turn 8, the very tight left-hand hairpin where we will see a number of overtaking manoeuvres today. It was also the corner where Norbert Kish took the race lead yesterday, effectively, from Jochen Hahn. He got a fantastic run on the exit of the corner and just managed to swoop in front by this corner now, turn 9. And then before the final sector of the circuit, he was already gone. And after that was when the full course yellow came out, and unfortunately for Jochen Hahn, if he'd have just held on for that extra half a lap or so, then he would have been able to hold the race win. There is the circuit itself. It really does go back on itself a number of times here with this very twisty infield section. It was built between 2008 and 2009 with regular visits from GT and touring car racing. There's actually been a bit of remodelling done over some of the humps on this circuit. So on the very far left of the map, where we go from turn 1 down towards turn 2, there is a man-made hump. There's also another one down towards turn 13 as well, and down before the start-finish straight. And there have been GT cars and touring cars lifting the front wheels off the ground over said humps at certain speeds. Luckily, with 3.1 tonnes of the 5.4 tonnes that these trucks weigh being measured over the front axle, we're not going to see anybody lifting off the ground this weekend. Our trucks are also limited to 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometres an hour. I say limited, they're governed to 160 kilometres an hour, because if the drivers exceed that, they will get penalties for overspeeding. It's all on safety grounds. At the end of the day, if you've got a 5.4 tonne racing machine, you do not want it travelling more than 100 miles an hour, really. So we minimise the risk and keep our racing as safe and as clean as possible. Because while the green flag is about to be waved, there is a green initiative behind the championship which sees all of our trucks run on 100% renewable HVO diesel. 30-second board is shown. All personnel and our cameraman Fleischi make their way off the grid, as well as Rolf Werner, who was stood at the front of the grid there overseeing proceedings with his usual dry sense of humour, I imagine, as well. He's a very, very funny man, is Rolf Werner, a lovely bloke. And like I say, very, very dry. we have the Iveco S-Way leading us around, which is our official pace truck of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. And you'll notice when you see this Iveco a little bit more up close, it has these humongous tanks on the side of it because it runs on bio-LNG. Another method of following the sustainability steps that we'd like to here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship is the fact that we have a bio-LNG powered Iveco S-Way. The bio-LNG powers it with almost little to no effect on power or torque from the truck as well. Still over 500 horsepower is the Iveco S-Way, and I can tell you our wonderful pace truck driver, Frank the Tank as we call him, certainly knows how to wheel that thing around. I remember the first time I actually visited one of these races in person was Misano in 2021, and Frank instantly said, "Oh, you're the speaker. You need to be taken around the circuit in the truck and see how it is." And, well, safe to say, Frank scared the life out of me, and my backpack almost ended up flying out the window. He is a wonderful driver, a great guy as well. And the Iveco S-Way, I mean, the interior on that thing as well is absolutely stunning. It's a very well-spec'd piece of kit. So there's your front row then. Norbert Kish from Sascha Lenz. A gap between the two of them, nearly 1.4 seconds. Antonio Albacetti, after blowing a turbocharger half an hour before qualifying, will be very happy with third on the grid. He's alongside Steffi Halm, and I'm sure it'll be a big thumbs up from her as well. She'll be really pleased with that. Jamie Anderson starts fifth. A great return to the championship for Jamie, right on the pace with Jochen Hahn, six-time champion, starting in position number 6 on the third row with him. Andre Kursin will start in 7th place. It's where we've seen him quite often this weekend, to be fair, with Jose Eduardo Rodriguez in 8th, the superstar that's joined the championship this season, making real waves in the Promoters' Cup. He's got his two main Promoters' Cup rivals behind him, though, Louis Requenco and Stefan Faas, who round out the top 10. And then on the back row of the grid, we will have the two drivers that didn't make it through into Superpole, the two British stars, John Newell and Mark Taylor. The two of them, obviously fans of the numbers 1 and 8, will be making their way around, waiting for opportunities to come their way here. They're trying to, obviously, get better and better all of the time. And it's a perfect testing ground for not just the drivers, but, of course, the technology behind this championship as well, and for the industry, because not only is truck racing embracing the bio-LNG element and, of course, the HVO diesel, the biofuels as well, which we've been using for a couple of seasons now. It's all technology and all sustainability methods that could be used within the industry as well, within the haulage industry. So it makes a big difference all over the globe. It's not just something that we're doing here in motorsport to look fancy or look like it's just us trying to save the planet, but of course it is something that you can apply elsewhere as well, and this is the perfect testing ground, really. Some of the most extreme conditions that a truck and its engine and its driver and all of its components can go through is a racing circuit. So we hope that, of course, on top of the sustainability, we are doing something for the industry on top of that as well. There's Jochen Hahn alongside Jamie Anderson, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Andre Kursim just behind. It's an interesting fourth row, that, actually. I'm looking forward to seeing what Jose Eduardo does here, because he's at the front of the Promoters' Cup. He doesn't need to push forward and try and overtake what we call our Titan drivers. We basically have Titan and Chrome within the championship. Basically, think Pro and Am, based on previous results and other accolades. But Jose Eduardo doesn't need to push past the Titan drivers in front. He can obviously think about the overall championship standings if he wants, but his main concern is going to be the Promoters' Cup this season. He is reigning French truck racing champion as well. He did a real number on them last year in the French Truck Racing Championship. He's an absolute star over there, and he's come to take on the biggest competition of the lot here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, and he's doing very well so far. He has a healthy lead. I think it's 19-point lead, actually, in the Promoters' Cup. And he's got 4 Promoters' Cup drivers behind him. The field is essentially split in 2 here. We've got all our Titan drivers. We've got the 7 of them at the front of the pack, and then the 5 Promoters' Cup drivers behind. You can see all of the Promoters' Cup drivers there actually in shot all at once, which is nice to see. Round what seems like a never-ending turn 13 we go at the end of the green flag lap. And Frank will bring the Iveco S-Way into the pit lane. Around turn 14, the little left kink we go. The red lights are on. The drivers will fan out as they have been instructed to do so. Fingers on the button, ready to get going then. at Slovakia Ring. And round number 7 of the 2023 Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship is underway. And look at the great start there by Norbert Kish. He's sprinting away, although Sasha Lenz actually has matched him pretty well. Steffi Halm's been overtaken by Jamie Anderson already. Jamie's gone up to 4th position before they've even got down to turn 1. Antonio Albacete looks down the inside. I think Jamie Anderson ran a little bit deeper than he wanted to through turn 1 there. Jochen Hahn's not been able to make any ground yet. They all run a little bit wide through turn 1, but it's all okay. Nothing untoward there. Steffi Halm tries to switch over to the right-hand side now to get back down the inside of Jamie Anderson, but no, Jamie is through, so he moves up into 4th place, the first main move of the race. And where is Jose Eduardo Rodriguez in all of this? Because I didn't see him in the shot there with the other Promoters Cup drivers. I think he might be sat right behind Andre Kurzim, or is he? Not sure at this point, but we'll have to keep our eye out for Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. But it's Norbert Kish, Sasha Lenz, Antonio Albacete, then Jamie Anderson defending from everybody. No, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is not there. I can tell you that. He's not actually part of that pack for some reason. He hasn't even crossed the line by the look of it, so not quite sure what's happened to Jose Eduardo. I'm sure we saw him next to Andre Kurzim as they came to the line, but he's not there now. That's a real shame for Jose Eduardo. I said it'd be interesting to see what he'd do. Clearly, that's a bit of a commentator's curse there, because he's not doing anything right now. As Sasha Lenz goes deep there into the right-hander down at turn 6. It's one of the toughest corners on the circuit because you're trying to accelerate out of turn 5, and there is a red flag. So clearly, Jose Eduardo is off at the side of the road somewhere. I imagine he's off on the exit of turn 1. Either that or he's had a problem, and he's come to a stop on the start-finish straight. I'm sure we'll try and get cameras on it at some point. But that's a real shame, that is, that we've had such an issue instantly. Hopefully Jose Eduardo and the truck are okay. Not seen any shots of it yet, so we'll bring you what information we can. Thank you to everybody behind the scenes that is always sending in messages and letting us know what's going on. We've got so many people that contact me from the paddock to try and bring you all the news. Thank you to Daria Marina as well. He's letting me know what the situation is. She's in race control this weekend, telling us what's going on, and she says that the number 38 is in the gravel. So I imagine that is on the exit of turn 1. I didn't see him on the way down towards turn 2, which was the long straight line run over the top of the crest. There he is actually in the background. You can see, yeah, just on the exit of turn 1 there. And there is Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Doesn't look like he's had any major contact or anything, but he's completely spun it around, and that's mid-corner as well. That's not even on the exit, that. So, with no disrespect, Jose Eduardo, it's quite the effort. But you can see how beached that is as well, and we always say that everything is bigger in truck racing, and the recovery operations are as well. So apologies on behalf of Jose Eduardo and whoever else may have been involved, but we have a red flag situation here at the Slovakia Ring. Not one lap completed yet, and I'm interested now to see whether we go back to a race restart with the grid reinstated as such. Quite frankly, the lunatic within me tells them to do a standing start and say, stuff it, let's go again. As Frank brings the Iveco backwards, beeping away, I'm sure, down the start-finish straight. Part of the regulations, actually, within truck racing does mandate that the trucks have to have obviously a beeping warning when they are engaged in reverse gear. That actually has, I think I wrote it down at one point. I think maybe as a bit of fun I wrote it down just to tell everybody, because I wanted to pretend that I'd read all the regulations in word-for-word format, but I think it's something like 80 decibels or 85 decibels that they have to have a beeper for when they're in reverse gear. But obviously it's important when they're moving around the paddock as well, because it's a very busy paddock. There's a lot of trucks about already that they use to transport the racing machines here, but then on top of that there's a lot of people walking around the paddocks, and you don't actually always think that the racing trucks are going to be the ones that are moving most around a paddock. You just expect to see touring cars or GT cars when you're at a race meeting. So they all come to a stop now, and it looks like we're back in grid order. It's definite that Steffi Halm is ahead of where Jamie Anderson was on the grid anyway. as Jose Eduardo Rodriguez's machine is now dragged away. And they've done a solid job of that already, actually. They've very quickly got around to recovering that machine. .3 tons these machines are, and as part of the regulations, 3,150 kilos of that needs to be weighed over the front axle by scrutineering, which is one of the reasons that these trucks drift so well as well. Whenever you see any sort of post-race celebrations, especially in wet conditions, you'll see the drivers really drifting them around over the course of a lap on their way into the pits. And luckily, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is already out of the gravel and he's able to get going as well. So hats off to the team down there, the Slovakian recovery team. They've done a great getting that out of the gravel.
We're standing here with John. So have you seen anything? We just heard Rodriguez went out without a contact. Could you see anything?
Yeah, in front of me, Stefan and Lewis was having a little go with each other, and I think they may have had a bit of contact with whoever is in front, and then both run wide, and I come up the inside, and obviously one must have gone in the gravel. That's as much as I saw.
How much does the restart affect you?
It affects me quite a lot, because it's put me 3 places back, so I was in quite a good position there to keep going, so see if we can do the same.
Good luck. Thank you very much. Thank you. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Christina. Apologies about that, everybody. To briefly explain, when the weather gets hot here in the UK, unfortunately, when I'm commentating at home, the internet connection outside my house in the street, or the copper wiring in the street, is a load of rubbish. So, unfortunately, with the hot temperatures, it does get affected. But whenever I do drop out, I'll drop back in as quickly as I can. But again, hats off to the recovery people there for getting Jose Eduardo Rodriguez out of the gravel and back onto the circuit as quickly as they have. But John Newell's absolutely right. It's a bit difficult there to see the fact that he's had to drop those places back because of somebody else's incident. And apparently, thank you again to Daria, who has mentioned that the driver himself, Jose Eduardo, reported that he wasn't pushed. He just lost control of it himself. He was just pushing a bit too hard. And you know what? It takes a lot as a driver to admit that, to be fair. A lot of drivers I've seen in the past have maybe had a spin or an incident and then claimed to have been pushed. I remember one very famous Ericsson hit us moment. Not quite sure who that was. Of course, we all know who that was. Anyway, Jose Eduardo making his way back round now. You can see all the gravel and dust and all sorts has made its way off the tyres by now. Still a little bit on the sidewall of his Goodyears. He's having a good year so far, to be honest with you. He's really having a fantastic season, leading the Promoters' Cup. Clearly no damage to the truck. Just overdid it, got beached, and now makes his way back round the grid, or to the grid, I should say, to take up his spot. And that's a bit of a free pass for Jose Eduardo now, isn't it? Because he gets to restart in the position that he was in, I'm pretty sure, in some sets of regulations around the world, because he was the one that caused the red flag. In a qualifying session, you would have your time deleted and whatever you've done would not count. I think in a race scenario, in some regulations, it would be the same. But here, he is being allowed the chance to race again. I think I could see Franz Stahlberg from the FIA there, just having a quick look over the tyres of his racing machine. Just checking everything is all good and all safe to continue. And the guys are being spoken to about the tyre. You can see the wheel there actually has a small bit of damage on it, actually. Our cameraman picking that up. As you can see, it's been dented and affected, hasn't it? Now they have to assess whether that would become dangerous or not. They're going to look at the tyre pressures and see whether there are any problems. We've got Christina down there, ready to take on an interview if needs be. We'll see what the guys say. I think Franz Stahlberg has given them the nod. Franz is a lovely bloke anyway. But that's the thing, the FIA, of course, speaking to the teams, working with them so well. There's always good communication between them. Not sure if that tyre looks like it's gone down or had any issue, to be fair. Because a lot of the time with the varying tyre pressures that the teams and drivers all run in the championship, they can look like they're starting to go slightly flat. Wondering whether there could be a slow leak there from that tyre. We'll have to wait and see. But hopefully not, for Jose Eduardo's sake. I mean, for the championship, it would be very intriguing because it would mean that he wouldn't get any points in the first race of the day, where you score more points than within the second race. In the first one, you get, I believe it's 20 points for winning the race, and then in the second race, it is 10. We're going to go back down to Christina, though, for another chat.
Yeah. Yes, with Jose Rodrigues, obviously family management business. What happened? O que passou?
Luis, I think he braked later and crashed the truck after. It's not possible. I go this moment.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Jose Rodrigues, of course, racing with us in previous seasons as well. I was actually part of a trio of generations on circuit back at Jarama in 2016. There was Jose Eduardo Rodrigues, his father, who we just spoke to there, Jose Rodrigues, and Eduardo Rodrigues, all on track together, which was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic to see. The first time, we believe, that 3 generations of one family have been on track in the same championship at the same time. And I tell you what, they certainly know their truck racing and they know how to get it done. Jose Eduardo is a real superstar. Like I say, reigning French truck racing champion. There were a number of us absolutely blown away by his performances at the Nürburgring last year when he absolutely left the field for dead. It was unbelievable. I mean, we see the domination of Norbert Kirsch in this championship, but honestly, it was like a different kettle of fish seeing what Jose Eduardo was doing there. It's interesting to see, though, he stepped up, of course, into the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, and he doesn't have it all his own way, so it certainly means that we get to see the best of him because he has to push. And I mean, mistakes like that, that's what comes of pushing a little bit too hard. Someone that is going to be pushing hard from the back of the field is going to be Mark Taylor, and he's down there with Christina for a quick chat.
Absolutely. Our English commentator says you're going to push hard from the back of the field. How does the restart affect you?
It just gives you another fresh start to try again. And
wait, I just pushed it.
Hopefully, it just gives you a chance to start again and hopefully do a better start off the line this time. So it's another chance to the race. So looking forward to it again.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Just trying to push harder again, also with my microphone.
Everybody at the back of the grid pushing hard then, eh? Well, Mark Taylor, like he says, it's just another chance, a fresh start here. So if there have been any mistakes, or if you do muck up the first start at all, then you get a better go at it. You know what you can change and do this time. Steffi Halm will be looking for a better start as well. Obviously, Jamie Anderson got through last time. He's going to want to try and repeat that. Jochen Hahn didn't really make much forward progress in that one, but I don't think he's going to be too upset with that. He said earlier on he's not actually too unhappy with what went on in qualifying. I can't obviously describe turn 1 in the same way that he did. There is the engine, I believe, of Stefan Fass's truck. They usually have bright red blocks on their engines and they always look very intriguing. I remember watching an engine change take place at the Hungaroring last season with Stefan's truck. And it is just an amazing process to behold when you get to see them in person. These humongous engines, sometimes up to 13 litres. These single turbocharged 6-cylinder HVO biodiesel engines producing nearly 1,200 horsepower. Over 5,000 foot-pound of torque. And these trucks, while they do weigh over 5 tonnes, obviously don't have a great 0 to 60 time about them. And we don't have standing starts because it will destroy the clutches. But the 20 to 100 miles an hour time is about the same as a Porsche 911 GT3 RS. just to put it into context. And they are then governed to 100 miles an hour. They will definitely do more than that if they were allowed to. But on safety grounds, of course, we keep it nice and tame, and we make sure that 100 miles an hour is the fastest they do. That's why you won't see the trucks sitting in the slipstream of one another. They won't tuck in behind one another, get their heads down, you know, and start opening DRS or anything. They might open a window if it gets warm, but that's about it. But basically, because you get that 100 miles an hour limit, as soon as you hit that, you're then basically just going to sit in hot air for absolutely no reason. You're going to just be heating your engine up with no reason to do so. So the green flag is waved at the front of the pack, and the Iveco S-Way makes its way off the grid, driven once again by Frank, Norbert Kish, Sasha Lenz, Antonio Albacete, and Steffi Halm, the front 2 rows of the grid. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez will be very pleased with the fact that he's got this second attempt at the race start, let's say. I know there's a number of drivers that will be very pleased to have that second go. And there is our gorgeous Iveco S-Way pace truck, once again being put through its paces, I should say. You can see those giant bio-LNG tanks on the side of the machine as well. They're a real staple of the design. They're a real definite characteristic that you can tell apart from the other trucks that you'll see on the road. Now, one of the stories that I wanted to talk about for this season is about Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. I'll give you that after the grid, though. Norbert Kish lines up once again alongside Sasha Lenz. Then on the second row of the grid, we have Antonio Albacete. Again, great effort after blowing a turbocharger this morning. Steffi Halm, truck 44, position 4. Jamie Anderson will line up in 5th place. He's had a really good return to the championship after becoming a father just a few weeks ago. Congratulations to Jamie and Ella. And Jochen Hahn will line up in 6th position. Andre Kurzim is 7th with Jose Eduardo Rodriguez alongside him on the 4th row of the grid. Jose Eduardo, like I say, with that second chance now to not put it in the gravel. Louis Requenco starts in 9th place. Alongside him, we have Stefan Fass in 10th position. 11th place is going to be John Newell in truck number 18. Like he said, he made 3 places up on the earlier start. And now Mark Taylor in truck 81. Back at the back of the grid with him as well. So both of them wanting opportunities to go forward again. There they are, rounding out our field. The sun is shining at the Slovakia ring. There was a little threat of rain earlier on, but it doesn't seem so anymore. And John Newell was on the podium in the Promoters' Cup in the previous race. Race 2 of the weekend. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez has won both races in the Promoters' Cup so far, and obviously he's going to want to do the same again now. Stefan Fass has finished 3rd and then 2nd, and it was Louis Requenco that was 2nd in the Promoters' Cup in the first race of the weekend. Norbert Kish has won both races outright so far. The first one was won from Albacete and then Lenz, and then Jochen Hahn and Andre Kurzim joined him on the podium for race number 2. Now, I mentioned Albacete and Hahn both getting second places there. Now, this year, Jochen Hahn, I mean, on average, he scores a few more podiums a season than Antonio Albacete. But Jochen Hahn is chasing down Antonio's record of having the most podiums in the championship's history. Antonio has 283 podium appearances. Jochen Hahn now has 277. So with just 6 between them, as it started this weekend, Jochen Hahn could take that this weekend, and then he would have basically almost all records in the championship. He's got 6 titles, which is the most of anybody, 67 pole positions, the most of anybody, 116 race wins, 277 podiums, and he has 651 race starts. This will be race start number 652. So he's just continuing to add to that tally. He's got over 100 more starts than Antonio Albacete, but that just shows you again just how good Antonio is. He's got 6 more podiums in 100 less race starts. We get 32 race starts per season, or we do at the moment anyway, with the 8 race meetings we've got. Unfortunately, we did have 9 race meetings planned for this season, but our trip to the Hungaroring was called off due to construction at the circuit, which would have meant that it wouldn't be safe to go truck racing. So obviously, with safety being the top priority, that race meeting will not go ahead, or hasn't gone ahead. It was supposed to be a week or so ago. We then have Tor Poznan in 2 weeks. We go to Poland for a new venue for the championship. Really excited about that one as well. That's another very twisty, windy circuit that goes back on itself a number of times. The virtual European Truck Racing Championship race there over the winter with Norbert Kish and Lucas Hahn involved as well. John Newell and Mark Taylor were on that too. And we had a lot of fun there in the virtual world racing on Assetto Corsa online. With yours truly on commentary as well. You can always go back and watch them. But for now, stick with us and watch race 3 of the weekend, because once more we are about to get round 7 of the 2023 Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship underway. Wait for it. Go indeed. The guys shout to their team members when the lights go green, so they know when the call out is. And already there's a lot of defending and a lot of argy-bargy going on. Jamie Anderson trying to get to the right-hand side of Antonio Albacete down the inside into turn 1. Norbert Kish goes over to the left to defend from Sasha Lenz. They go hard into turn 1, but what about the rest of the pack behind? Is there any argy-bargy? Is there any drama? Listen for the tyre squeal. Doesn't sound like it. Antonio's held on to third. Nope, there is drama. Steffi Halm now off in the gravel, and that is going to be another red flag, I'm afraid. Looks like Steffi's taken quite the hit there as well, actually, because the engine looked like it had moved. See if we can find any guilty parties. Who's involved? Jochen Hahn has lost a bunch of places. Jamie Anderson has as well. Andre Kursim's benefited from that greatly. He's gone from 7th on the grid up into 4th position, overtaking Jochen, Steffi, and, of course, Jamie. Surprised there's no red flag wave just yet, but then again it was a couple of corners after this where we had the red flag come out last time. Jochen Hahn there defending, or trying to defend at least, from Stefan Fass, who comes through down the inside. I can't see who it is that's smoking at the moment. I think it might have been Jamie, to be fair. He was definitely trying to squeeze down the inside of Antonio Albacete. I wonder if there's been contact from either of those guys that's then pushed Steffi Halm off the road. She was on the outside of it all. And I can confirm that the engine seems like it's in its normal place. It just looked like it was on a very strange angle in that previous shot that we had. But Steffi is stuck there on the exit of turn 1, which is not a nice place to be. I'm wondering whether they're going to cover that with double wave yellows, but she's very close to the racing surface. So hopefully there's some measure taken there to make sure that the safety of that truck and the situation down at turn 1 is as good as it can be. But Norbert Kish leads, Sasha Lenz second, Antonio Albacete in third as they started this race on the grid. Steffi Halm is out of the race from 4th. Jamie Anderson also further down the order now with John Newell. I think Jamie's the one that's got the damage. We've got a yellow flag at turn 1, so there's not going to be any overtaking there. Jochen Hahn. Stefan Fass just behind them. And yeah, Jamie Anderson is struggling. I think he's got damage on the front end of that truck. Here's Eduardo Rodriguez also involved by the look of it. I think he's had some issues. There was clearly more than one bit of contact there because Steffi Halm's front bumper has come off the truck rather than it just be one of the rear mudguards at the back. Jochen Hahn there getting past fellow Iveco driver Louis Requenco. Here they go then down to Norbert Kish leading the way. On 5th position, he's actually a position ahead of where he started the race now. Requenco leading the Promoters Cup up in 6th position, Fass in 7th, Anderson 8th, Newell 9th, and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez in 10th position. There's the rest of the field making their way round turn 1. It definitely looks like Jamie's got some sort of damage. He's going to be struggling here. John Newell is eyeing him up for an overtaking manoeuvre. They can't overtake down at turn 1, obviously, because of the yellow flag. But these drivers know what they're doing enough to keep it safe around turn 1 and avoid having anything to do with Steffi's truck there. It's that long a lap, to be fair. They've probably got enough time to try and get the truck moved between the field coming by and then coming round again. But unfortunately, there was drama there in the mid-pack. And yeah, they are trying to get the truck moved as well. I wasn't joking. So Steffi Halm will be hoping they can get that moved as quickly as possible, get it back to the paddock as quickly as possible as well, which is important ahead of the next race this afternoon. Our next broadcast for that is due to start at 5 to 3 in the UK, which is 5 to 4, of course, local time in Slovakia. Now, this is the battle for the lead in the Promoters' Cup. Louis Requenco in the green Iveco trying to defend from Stefan Fass in the black, red and yellow Scania. He goes down the inside into turn 8. Lovely move by Stefan. Just gets his nose down the inside, opens the door. Louis gives him a decent amount of room on the exit. They go through into turn 9, another long left-hander, and Stefan Fass is through and into the lead of the Promoters' Cup in this race. He's got one race win this season in the category when he won at Misano. And he's going to be looking for more of the same right now. He's run a little bit deep, though, into turn 10. And apparently there's an incident under investigation. Sorry, I can't get my words out. It was Jamie Anderson and Steffi Halm that made contact. That's what's being looked at. They started on different rows of the grid, actually, because Steffi started on row 2. Jamie was on the 3rd row of the grid. As they power down towards turn 13 now, Stefan just needs to keep his wits about him, that Louis doesn't come back at him with a strong attack. Louis has been getting quicker and quicker all the time. He switched from an MAN to that Iveco this year. That's the ex-René Reiner Iveco, which we saw competing in a couple of rounds in previous seasons. There's Jose Eduardo Rodriguez trying to get past John Newell for 8th position. He can see that Promoters' Cup battle going on ahead of him, and he knows that he wants a piece of it, and he knows that he could potentially win this race. He's got incredible pace. And Stefan now has a great opportunity to take a victory in his class, so he has to get on with it and make sure that he just keeps it tidy and gets away from Louis Requenco. Jamie Anderson is now down in 10th position. He's carrying on, trying to get championship points, but you've got to finish in the top 10 in the overall classification to get points. And there goes Mark Taylor down the inside of Jamie Anderson. MAN on MAN. Mark Taylor going through. Can't quite see what it is that Jamie's struggling with, really. It's probably on the front left, if anywhere, because he was on the inside. Steffi Halm was on the outside. And surely the contact would have come there. And Jamie Anderson giving it another go, though. Back down the inside of his countryman, Mark Taylor. Ah, yeah, there's definitely something wrong with that front left. You can see it sort of wobbling around. It's not looking too tasty at all. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is now under investigation for overspeeding. He's not having a good day at the office, is he, Jose Eduardo? His qualifying may have gone well, but he had a track limits warning earlier on in the session, which deleted his original time. He got a second time in, which then put him on pole in the Promoters' Cup. But now, all of a sudden, finds himself being investigated once again, and finds himself a couple of places down on where he started the race. So I'm sure he won't have that wonderful smile on his face that we see in the picture there. We've also got Jamie Anderson under investigation for overspeeding as well. Unless the wrong number came through there, and it isn't Jose Eduardo that is under investigation for speeding, and that it's actually number 33, which is Jamie. Unless I've just read it wrong. My apologies if I have. But it's one of them. They're under investigation. I'll ask the question and see whether we get an answer back soon. Everybody continuing on with the race as they can do. That's all you can do in these situations, whether you've got a penalty lingering over you or not. You've just got to get on with it. Down the start-finish straight they go then. Louis Requenco ahead of John Newell and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, hoping to catch up with him through there. He's hoping to make a clean pass. Every lap is a clean pass on 100% renewable HVO diesel, though, as all of our trucks run on. It looks like Steffi Halm's truck has not been recovered out of the gravel down at turn 1. We're just having to cover that with yellow flags for now. Clearly something hindering the rescue effort as such. Either that or it's just not safe enough to complete that while the race is still going on, so they'll have to wait. Norbert Kish continuing to extend his lead at the front of the field, while Antonio Albacete continues to hunt down Sascha Lenz. Antonio will be very happy to get a podium after the fact that the truck had an engine failure this morning and ended up in the gravel. It's one hell of a way to turn your day around, isn't it? And to be honest, if there is any team that'll turn it around, it's T-Sport Banau. They're so well experienced at making sure that the truck is running well, and they are such a well-oiled machine. Tim Frost spearheading that incredible squad. Him and his guys always do a wonderful job. There is always the joke that Tim would rather Antonio have an engine failure because then he's got something to work on in the evening. I don't think I've ever seen him not working, Tim Frost. It's very rare that we'll actually have a chat where he's not holding a spanner or fixing something or lying on the floor whenever whenever I'm chatting to him. Norbert Kish, he's not got much to fix at the moment. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Baloo is certainly not broke right now. Baloo is flying at the front of the field. Baloo, the name of his truck, which, if I don't say it correctly, I'll sound like an absolute muppet for saying that a bright red truck is blue. Anyway, that one's definitely blue. It's a bit red as well, to be fair. That's Jose Eduardo Rodriguez chasing down John Newell. His truck is definitely blue and white, again with a little bit of red on it. Not that you need me to say that. But they are both still chasing down Louis Requenco, so John is not giving up anything here, but he's in the very tricky situation of wanting to attack the driver in front of you, while also having to consider the fact that every attack you could make could open you up to attack from behind, and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is going to try and take advantage of that right now. But John is going to be watching his mirrors while also wanting to attack. He can't make a move down into turn one, where we have, of course, a yellow flag. Steffi Helm's machine still in the gravel down there, so Jose can't make an overtaking move. He's still showing, though, that his intentions are clear, and he's trying to put his nose down the inside. It's clear on the exit, and that's where the green flags come into play. You can hear some of them skipping tyres over the surface as they try and put the traction. Jamie Anderson is a couple of seconds off the back of Mark Taylor, according to the previous circulation that he did, although I think Jamie now might have actually come into the pit lane. I'll confirm in a moment. He's not in the points anymore, so it wouldn't be beneficial, especially if he's still losing time, it wouldn't be beneficial to keep the truck out there and risk damaging it further. Although no, I think he has carried on actually. He's a couple of seconds a lap off the pace now, 3 seconds off. I think Jamie is carrying on. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is pushing so hard to get past John Newell. This is a great fight between the pair of them. John is defending very valiantly at the moment. Jose Eduardo tries to move around the outside, which would then become the inside for turn 7. This is turn 6 that they're just going through now. Doesn't make it work, though. And John has a little bit of breathing room for just a corner or more. And now actually closes in on Louis Requenco a little bit. Louis can't be complacent here. He can't let his pace fall by the wayside, bargaining or basically guaranteeing that John and Jose Eduardo are going to battle behind. And all of a sudden, John is right with him here. He's actually going to put his nose down the inside into turn 10. He gets held up, though, having to hold onto the brakes to not hit the back of the Iveco. And watch Jose Eduardo now behind the pair of them. John just lights up the rears a little bit, getting eager on the throttle, trying whatever he can. And now over the crest, out of turn 12, down towards turn 13. Mark Taylor's not too far off the back of this either, actually. He wants a piece of this. Great battle here, though, within the Promoters' Cup. Rest of the field a little bit spread out at this phase. Stefan Faas is now a few seconds up the road from this as well. He's really checked out. He'll be delighted with that. Just needs to keep his head on his shoulders and team need to just keep reassuring him that that gap is getting bigger and bigger back to Louis Requenco. There is Stefan Fass off in the distance. You can see the yellow rear end of that Tank Pool 24 machine. Looking very, very good right now for a class victory, and he needs them as well, does Stefan. He needs to try and catch back up in the Promoters' Cup, and it's more important to do that while Jose Eduardo Rodriguez would not be on the podium. I think this would be the first time this season that Jose Eduardo Rodriguez isn't on the podium in the Promoters' Cup. That's absolutely spot on as well, because he's been on the podium in every race so far, in his class anyway. He has actually had an overall podium as well, which they got in the 4th race at Misano to end the weekend. It was the first time he and Stefan Fass had been on an overall podium in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. What a great time to do it as well, when they do it together. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez down the inside of John Newell into turn 3. Oh, he's running out of road, though. On the exit, they're both off the road. And, oh, John's gone into the wall. John's made contact with the barriers and actually hit the tyre wall. I didn't realise the tyre barrier was that close to the circuit there. But John has hit the wall. The truck has bounced sideways. And he's just been waiting, I think, for some of the other guys to go through. But that front bumper hanging down, it's taken the bumper bar off with it, actually, there. That's really not good. Normally, these fiberglass bumpers, I mean, you'll see people walking around the paddock carrying them with one hand. They're not the heaviest things in the world. But usually they protect the bumper bar underneath, which is the main structural part of the truck. But that's been off as well, and yeah, John's pulled it over to one side. And that is a massive shame. I imagine it's probably broken the radiator or a hose or something, and it might be overheating as well. John will be absolutely raging with that one, and understandably so. I mean, Jose Eduardo exited the corner. Didn't look like he made any attempt to keep it on the road. He expected John to concede and back out of the manoeuvre by the look of it. I'm not sure if they were exactly Jose Eduardo's intentions, but you do see a bunch of that in other forms of motorsport as well, where the driver will just get their nose in front and they'll expect the other driver to back out and run them out of road. It's not a nice way of going racing. There's the yellow flag down towards turn 1. Norbert Kish continues to lead this race in dominating form. He's going to take his 3rd race win of the weekend if it carries on the way it's going. Antonio Albertetti still chasing down Sasha Lenz. Andre Kurzim's going well in 4th place. He won't get a podium for his troubles from there, but he's doing a really good job. Like I said earlier, the first races of each day. Oh, there you go. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez now pushing Mark Taylor off the road as well. So he's certainly not making any friends from the British driver side of the paddock anyway. So he may lead the Promoters' Cup, but I'm in no doubt that he will get a slap on the wrist for that. You can see the barrier damage on the left-hand side there, and the front end of John Newell's truck still lingering. And make a lovely souvenir for somebody once the weekend is over. But that is a devastating way for your race to end if it's contact with another driver. Usually our driving standards in the championship are very, very good, to be fair. It's not often that we do see big contact that affects people's races. You'll see the little nudge and barge here and there, but these trucks and the drivers are very, very strong and sturdy, unfazed. And apparently Steffi Halm's truck is very, very damaged. That's the reason that it cannot move out of the gravel. So the reason that Jose Eduardo's truck was moved was the fact that he could at least get it going again, so they could stop the race, get the truck back out there. But Steffi's is stuck there. They cannot move it during the race, unfortunately, and get it out. So we're just going to have to keep that covered by a yellow flag. There's Mark Taylor. He's currently inside the top 10 at the moment, not on for a Promoters' Cup podium. I'm sure that after the contact with Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, he won't be too chuffed, especially when he was on his way to his first podium in the category as well. There's Jochen Hahn, who's not really making any inroads to Andre Kurzim at this moment in time. Jochen was pushing on yesterday and overtook Andre quite quickly into the second race of the day with the reverse grid. He had a fantastic start. Flew off up the road in pursuit of the race leaders. And had the lead for quite a while until Norbert Kish took it away. And Norby took it away in the right moment as well, the perfect moment, because not long after that, the full course yellow came out. And the race ended under said full course yellow, so Jochen wasn't given an opportunity to try and take his lead back from the Hungarian. We're on to the final lap of the race now, though, still with yellow flags down at turn 1, but the drivers have respected that and managed it very, very well. And it's still Kish from Lenz from Albersetti. The same drivers on the podium that we had in the first race of the weekend, but with Lenz and Albersetti turned around. Apparently there's an incident between Jamie Anderson and Mark Taylor under investigation, but I believe that should be truck 38 and 81 instead of 33 and 31. I think that was the same situation earlier on, actually, is that I may have got the overspeeding number wrong, and it was actually Jamie Anderson that was under investigation for speeding, not Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. But Jose has then got himself in trouble in a couple of other ways, to be fair. The contact with John Newell wasn't great, and the contact with Mark Taylor that we also saw, far from ideal, let's say. But this man, well, he's having a pretty ideal race so far, isn't he? Norbert Kish doing what he does best, qualifies on pole position, has a solid gap, opens up said gap at the start of the race, and then just maintains it and gradually adds to it from there. Not overly stressful, not doing himself or the truck any harm, just getting it to the flag quickly and very, very tidy. It's looking good this season, isn't it, Baloo? Looking very, very good indeed. Apparently John Newell has actually got going again, has continued on, which is good to see. Here down into the final couple of corners goes Norbert Kish, flying down there at 100 miles an hour. You get an idea of what a truck looks like at 100 miles an hour. It's incredible, isn't it? On the way into turn 13. One more corner to go. And for the third time out of 3 this weekend, somebody stop him. Norbert Kish takes another race victory. That's going to be his 7th win of the season. Apologies, 5th win of the season. My bad, my maths is clearly off today. But Norbert Kish wins at the Slovakia ring. Sasha Lenz comes home in 2nd place. And Antonio Albersetti will once again join them on the podium. Kurzim 4th, great result for him, ahead of Jochen Hahn. And then not far behind them is going to be our Promoters' Cup winner in that race, which is going to be Stefan Faas. He's going to be very, very pleased with that. The German gets another category win. That's his 2nd of the season. But can somebody stop Norbert Kish? Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. No one can hold a candle to him at the moment. And for the last couple of years, he really has been the yardstick. Oh, hello. I thought there was some fancy graphics coming on my screen then. But no, that's one of the recovery vehicles being sent out to pick up Steffi Halm's truck. The marshals all wave their flags. There's Jamie Anderson completing the race, actually, in the top 10. So he does get a championship point for that. So very, very well done to Jamie for at least getting the truck back over the line. Be interesting to see what the damage is like a little bit later. But yeah, there was a few moments there for Jose Eduardo Rodriguez that won't have been endearing to him. But there's your top 3. Norbert Kish once again top of the pile. Sasha Lenz will be happy with 2nd place. That's some solid championship points for him in a time where he really needs them over the likes of Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete as well. Antonio finishing in third in the end. Another solid result for T-Sport, but now another podium for their season. That's going to be his 5th podium of the championship so far out of 7 races, so it's certainly going well. And John Newell is there at the side of the road, actually. So John did not get going again. He still sits trackside. Marshals all waving the flags in appreciation to the drivers, and again a big show of appreciation to the marshals and the officials around the circuit that keep us all racing. And there you see as well the recovery effort here to get Steffi Helm's gorgeous white and orange Iveco out of the gravel trap down there at turn 1. A real shame that Steffi's race ended so soon. She had a bit of a rough first start as well, and then after the restart I'm afraid things just got worse from there for her. Not going any further than turn 1. And then John Newell also having a similar recovery effort being completed on his machine, stuck in the gravel out there. I believe that's on the exit of turn 10, actually. So the left-hand hairpin, he's just come to a halt after that on the exit. As everybody else now carries on to head back to the pit lane and debrief after what was a bit of a lively race 3 for this weekend. That was overall the 7th round of the championship. The 7th race of the championship. I know a lot of people like to refer to entire race weekends as rounds. So whatever your terminology, that was the 7th race. And by the end of the weekend, we'll have completed 8 for this season. Very quickly flying by once again already, this championship. I can't believe that we've almost completed 2 entire race meetings already. The next one coming in 2 weeks' time at Tor Poznan in Poland. Again, a race meeting that a lot of us are very, very excited for. A new venue with a lot of promise to deliver some great racing for us here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. There is the race winners board down in the pit lane, and it will be greeted in just a moment via one of my favourite camera angles in the championship as Norbert Kish makes his way in with the very, very loud and lovely sounding horn of Baloo. Alongside him there, in wide angle, Sasha Lenz in the number 3 machine. Steffi Helm's truck now being dragged through the gravel back to the paddock, and Antonio Albacete gets another podium as well. There's Norbert Kish's team. All happy to see him and welcome him back after another race victory. Like I say, that's race win number 5 of the season for him. Antonio Albacete, that man there, and Jochen Hahn, the only 2 other drivers to have won races this season. Jochen Hahn took the first race win of the weekend. Norbert Kish took back-to-back race wins in the middle of Misano's weekend. And then Antonio Albacete won round 4. And every race so far this weekend has been won by the Hungarian. He's got a lot of fans here this weekend. And a big hug to the team. There's Csaba Bako, giving him a firm handshake after more hard work well completed. And this team is again coming into a championship and looking very, very unstoppable so far. The dominance of the last few years has been remarkable by Revace Racing. There's Sasha Lenz celebrating a brilliant 2nd position. And Jane gets a big hug as well, of course. Very, very well done to Sasha and the team. There's our fancy graphics. As the recovery effort continues there. Steffi Helm's Iveco moved out of the way and back into the paddock. It's a shame as well for her team, Team Schwaben Truck, that it couldn't be recovered mid-race and moved back to the paddock while the race was still going on, so they had a bit longer to fix it and figure out what issues there are. Antonio Albacete gets a big well done from his team and from Sasha Lenz as well. Lovely sportsmanship between the guys in this championship. So much great camaraderie. And there is Steffi's Iveco being moved away from turn 1 now. It's a sorry sight. The number 44 machine obviously not able to drive itself back at this point. And then John Newell as well. A bit of a war zone in that third race of the weekend. Hopefully none of the same in the final race where we'll have a reverse grid, and it'll be interesting to see what the result is like actually, based on whether Jose Eduardo Rodriguez gets any penalties or anything from the investigations with his incidents, because Louis Requenco finished that race in 8th place, which would put him on pole position. But if Rodriguez gets any sort of penalty and gets removed from that reverse grid, we'll actually see Mark Taylor on pole position. He'll be moved up into 8th. So there's a potential story there, which is interesting to see. There's one of the elements of this place being so flat and so vast, is the fact that it's very, very windy here at the Slovakia ring. I'm pretty sure it's built on an old airfield, so all reason for it to be flat and vast, as you see. I am pretty sure that the start-finish straight is an old runway as well, but I'd have to look into that and make sure that I'm correct with that one. We're going to go down to Christina, who's down there for a quick chat for us. She's now getting amongst it in the paddock and in the pit lane.
Yes, absolutely. It was double joy. First, congratulations to the winner, Norbert Kirsch, and congratulations also to Antonio Albacete. A turbo engine swap and then onto the podium. So...
No, turbo. Just turbo stuff. Okay.
Oh, sorry. It was like kind of a miracle, but it is also a small miracle. Talking about it. So how did you manage to just keep going after the restart?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was good. I knew that the start would be important, so we had to do it again. But the second start was very good for me as well, so I could go clear in front. And then, I just tried to manage the tires in these very, very long right turns that I don't burn the tires. And it was working well. I could build a gap. So good race. Very thankful for Reves team, for Reves Racing for the good track. And really happy with the results so far this weekend.
It feels almost like a home race, of course, for you, since the Hungarian race could not take place this year, but you've seen a lot of fans in the stand. How is it competing here?
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot of red and Hungarian flags in the grandstand, so it really feels really nice. So I am really happy for the fans that we could bring these good results and that they are here cheering for us. I am really thankful, and they come to our tents as well. We did a big group photo and everything, so the feeling is really, really nice. It's really like a home race.
Enjoy the podium. Thank you very much. Keep it forward to Antonio. So let's talk about this day for you, because the team has been up and it was very exciting from you. How did you manage to stay cool and onto the podium?
Yeah, we start with a little bit of bad luck with this turbo failure. But the team did a great job finishing time for the time practice. And the race, the first start was good, but the second, I did a good start, but Jamie did a very good start. He was right behind me, and then I don't know what happened. I feel like a small touch in the rear. I think he braked very, very late, and then he goes with Steffi or something like that. I don't know. But the race was good. I was trying to keep pushing Sacha, trying to see if he makes any mistakes, but no, he drives very well, and I just keep pushing until the end, but it was not possible. But no, very happy with the result. I think it's a good result for the team. It's more points. It's the important thing, we have to score points each race, so let's hope that the next one also we score some points.
Thank you very much. Up to the podium, quickly up the stairs, and we will be there for you as well with our commentators, of course.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what happened at the start of that race there. Unfortunately, we didn't get a bigger picture of it all, but there was obviously a lot going on and a lot of moving around near the front of the pack, so Antonio felt a bit of a touch and then saw the incident go on behind, but obviously he had to focus on his race and moving forward. Norbert Kirsch takes the win then, just under 6 seconds ahead of Sacha Lenz. Fantastic result for Sacha there. He'll be really pleased with that one. Antonio Albacete, another podium to add to his tally, and importantly, one where Jochen Hahn doesn't join him on the podium. So the gap is now 7. So Antonio has 7 more than him. Andre Kursim, a great 4th position there, especially in the first race of the day. That's more points than he would get for finishing there in the second race. Jochen Hahn finishes in 5th. I suppose it's better than where he qualified, so he'll be pretty happy to have moved up a position. And Stefan Faas, 6th place overall, takes the win in the Promoters' Cup. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez was out there making friends and eventually finished in 7th place, 2nd in the Promoters' Cup, and Louis Requenco will complete the Promoters' Cup podium. Mark Taylor finished in 9th place inside the top 10, and Jamie Anderson also in the top 10 in 10th place, getting 1 championship point for his troubles there.
We'll start immediately.
But now we're going to get the trophies handed out, hopefully in the right order this time. There was a funny little blunder yesterday where some of the drivers got the wrong trophies, or they got them in the wrong order. I think Jose Eduardo Rodriguez got the third place trophy given to him. Antonio Albacete is urged by my good friend Dominic Wilhelms to get on with it and get onto the podium. Sasha Lenz takes second place, a handshake to Antonio. And well, the fanfare begins. Norbert Kish, like we just said there, or heard from Christina anyway, there's a lot of Hungarian fans here this weekend, mainly due to the fact that the Hungarian race could not go ahead, unfortunately, a week or so ago. And fantastic scenes from Norbert Kish once again. Just another solid drive at the front. And there is the barrier repair underway. And there is the trophy being held high by Norby. How the fortunes differ. And there you go, the Hungarian national anthem for Norbert Kish. You can see all of the flags. He said there's a lot of red here. Basically everyone wearing the colours of Revace Racing and supporting the amazing driver that is Norbert Kish as he continues on another campaign of winning almost every race so far this season. He's joined by greatness on the podium in the form of Antonio Albacete and Sasha Lenz, two of the finest champions, or drivers at least, in the championship, I should say. It's almost criminal that Sasha Lenz hasn't won a title by now, but he's always so close. One of the finest truck builders in the business as well, Sasha Lenz. He's always really well complimented on how well he builds a race truck, and he's ready to spray the champagne pretty quickly as well. Soaking Norby. They don't normally soak each other in the first race of the day based on their race suits getting drenched. But in this situation, stuff it. The sun's out, so they're enjoying the champagne early. Great scenes and good fun amongst all the drivers on the podium. And in just a moment we will get the Promoters Cup podium out and get the top 3 drivers from that category as well. Sasha's really happy with that trophy, isn't he? Really pleased, bless him. And a lot of hard work has gone into getting that one. And they will continue to work hard, of course, into the afternoon. He's going to start the second race from 7th on the grid, by the look of it, based on said reverse grid. This is how the championship standings look then after round 7 of the 2023 Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. It's a tie for second place now between Antonio Albacete and Jochen Hahn, and Norbert Kish is starting to open up that gap, isn't he? 14 points clear now at the top. Sasha Lenz still challenging, only 8 points behind Jochen Hahn in 4th, and Andre Kurzim having a great run up there in 5th place. As you can see, everybody else spread out quite evenly as the points go down there. And we'll have to wait and see how they all battle it out as the championship continues on. But the main man at the top, once again, Norbert Kish. He's won the last 2 championships on the bounce, and he's going to try and do it a third time and get the hat-trick, something that only we have seen before from Jochen Hahn. We move now on to the Promoters Cup podium. Third place going the way of Louis Requenco. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez in second, and Stefan Fass takes his second win in the category this season. And there you go, the German national anthem for Stefan Fass rings out around the Slovakia ring. And the 3 of them stand on the top step of the podium. And now they will take their champagne away without spraying it. And they will save it for the later race in the day coming up this afternoon. As I said before, we'll have Our broadcast should be starting about 5 to 4 local time in Slovakia, but there may, of course, be a delay based on the red flag that we had earlier on, so we'll try and keep you updated on that and give you an answer before we finish our broadcast here. Just depends on how quickly the news comes in based on the knock-on effect, of course, of the other races that we're sharing the circuit with this weekend. We'll have a look at the Promoters' Cup standings, though, before we go back down to Christina, and we'll just check how that all shapes up after that latest round of the season, because with Stefan Faas taking a win, it means that he's closed the gap slightly. It's still 14 points, though. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez on 104 points now. Stefan Faas on 90. 10 points between John Newell and Louis Requenco. He's only 1 point as well ahead of Mark Taylor. So it was a great three-way scrap between those drivers there. Jonathan Andre and Heinrich Clemens-Hecker, unfortunately not with us this weekend, but will be back at certain races over the course of the season. Jonathan Andre is a race-by-race entrant. Heinrich Clemens-Hecker should be doing the rest of the season. But the recovery efforts have been completed around the circuit now. And it's all going to calm down now as we'll go down to Christina and see who she's got for a chat.
I do have Luis Recuenco for you. ¿Cómo fue la corrida después del reinicio?
Bueno, primero en la primera curva, la primera salida que hemos tenido, he sido yo el que he tocado a Rodríguez y lo he echado fuera por la frenada final de recta. Después han parado la carrera, como habéis visto, hemos hecho otra vez parrilla, hemos salido de nuevo en la segunda vez, y en la segunda vez, bueno, la verdad es que bien, detrás de Cursin, todo bien. Ha habido un golpe delante nuestro, se enganchaba Steffi con Anderson, creo que ha sido, y bueno, ya me han dejado la vía libre y toda la carrera, bueno, ahí tranquilo. Luego mi camión tiene un problema de reglaje de suspensión, creo que es, que en la final se me bloquea la suspensión en el segundo tramo de la curva y no voy bien.
So let's take it from the back there. He said at the end of the race he's got a suspension problem and he could not really maneuver the camioneta, as you say in Spanish, well. But then he's talking about the first start, of course, and then he had a slightly contact with Jose Rodriguez, who was out of the race, and then we had the race red flagged, so they all needed to start again. And then he saw Steffi Halm having a contact with Jamie Anderson, so he had a view on that. And of course, due to that incident, he could pass wider forward, and right now he's ended up on the podium. Ganó más confianza.
Sí, tenemos que dar con el reglaje de suspensión. En el momento que demos con el reglaje de suspensión, seguro que iré progresando, pero en este circuito, sobre todo, hay curvas en el segundo sector que son muy cerradas en la última parte de la curva y ahí es donde penalizo mucho tiempo. Pero bueno, bien, muy contento.
So he said, they need to do some adjustment on the suspension to getting some confidence back in his truck again. And he said, this track is very, very interesting. At the second turn, there are some really, really close turns and really narrow. You need to find very well your line. And so he's progressing. Los planos para la cuarta corrida hoy.
Bueno, intentar mejorar la suspensión, como digo, ahí tenemos el interrogante, ahí es donde tenemos el verdadero problema. Sí, creo, vamos a hacer nuevas pruebas, a ver si damos con el OK, con el correcto.
Gracias. Enhorabuena.
Venga.
So he said, ahead of race number 4, they need to try out, they need to figure out the small details, the small problems they do have with the suspension. And but he seems to be confident that they're doing some progress. And we do have Stefan Faas over here. That's how we professionally say this. We are ready for the interview. Stefan, congratulations. First of the podium from the Promoters' Cup, and what a race that has been red flagged at first, and then the second race you managed to get on first position. So how did you manage that?
Ja, die erste Kurve war das Entscheidende. Ja. Der Start ist nicht sehr gut gelungen, muss ich sagen, beim zweiten Start. Also der erste Start war schon nicht so gut, weil da kamen sie von der Seite schon an. Und durch das, dass hier halt die Strecke sehr breit ist, verteilen sich die Autos halt dann auch mal 4 Stück nebeneinander. Und die erste Kurve ist halt doch nicht so breit, also 4 passen nicht durch.
So you said it was really, really interesting getting into the first turn. You may see this, that the track is really wide in some spaces. So you might see 4 trucks competing for the best position alongside. So that was very dangerous. And he said after the first green light, he had slightly problems getting into the race. And now we talk about the second time the lights went green, of course.
Ja, und dann die erste Kurve war ja sehr spektakulär mal wieder, ja. Der Platz ging einfach aus und ich hatte mich gut positioniert und konnte da komplett mich raushalten und konnte vorbei. Das, was quasi die ersten 3 Runden entscheiden im Rennen, weil da die Reifen noch gut sind und dann bauen die Reifen immer mehr ab. Umso mehr Runden man fährt, umso schlechter werden die und das sieht man dann ja auch am Zieleinlauf. Die Trucks sind sehr weit auseinander, weil einfach du kannst nicht mehr pushen, die Reifen machen das nicht mehr mit.
So the first 3 laps, they're really decisive in this race because then you have the best tire management and afterwards it's slowly decreasing. So he said it was very, very interesting and yeah, he stayed out of trouble at the first turn, but there was a lot of trouble taking place in this first turn. So any learnings for the second race today? Also was kann man noch ein bisschen schrauben?
Ja gut, wir werden natürlich probieren, noch ein bisschen zu schrauben, aber wir haben jetzt nicht viel Zeit dafür, ja, und wir hoffen mal, dass wir jetzt vom 6. Platz gehen wir jetzt ins Rennen. Mal schauen, ob das alles so bleibt, weil es sind noch einige Dinge unter Untersuchung. Mal schauen, was da rauskommt. Aber wenn der 6. Platz steht, dann fahren wir am 6. Platz ins Rennen und hoffen wir, dass wir den mit ins Ziel nehmen.
Vielen Dank.
Danke.
So you said we might start from 6th position, but of course everyone from the FIA team is also checking every incident. And so he was very sporty, saying, well, let's have a look if we are starting there at our position from the reverse grid right now at the second race. And he said there's not much time left for us to make some adjustments, but we're trying to give in our best. So not much time left, but we are really looking forward to race number 4, but Chaz and the whole other team. So let's have a look back and talk about firstly the race that we have just seen right now.
Yeah, quite a bit of argy-bargy going on during that race. Plenty of action though, and fortunately for us, the rain, which was promised, held off and we managed to get a decent race out of it. Antonio Albacete would have been very happy starting from 3rd on the grid, but as we got going the first time, unfortunately we lost Jose Eduardo Rodriguez from the field as he was off in the gravel at turn 1 on the first attempt at the race start. That meant we had a red flag, and we then got everything started from the original grid positions. So a number of drivers unfortunately had to go backwards back down the grid to where they started, and others were given a second lease of life, let's say, and another go at the race this time round. Jose Eduardo would certainly not waste that though. He really got on with it. The fans were excited for it. We were all excited for it. And as we got underway a second time, it was Norbert Kish that led us away once again, defending very well from Sasha Lenz at the start of the race. Unfortunately, Steffi Halm was knocked off in a lot of argy-bargy in the middle of the pack, but then some of the fightbacks began, and in the Promoters' Cup it was Stefan Faas going to the front ahead of Louis Requenco, John Newell fighting through as well and working very, very hard to defend from Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Unfortunately though, it would come to naught after a bit of contact with Jose Eduardo would push John off the road into the barriers, and big damage to the number 18 machine would see a repair job for them taking most of the afternoon. We hope that they get it sorted for the final race of the day. There was also contact between Jose Eduardo Rodriguez and Mark Taylor as well, so still the investigations go on and we'll see how that will affect the reverse grid. But Norbert Kish takes another race victory with Sasha Lenz and Antonio Albacete joining him on the podium, and we look forward to the final race of the day again very, very soon.